Everyone, it's Carly. I'm going to do an analysis of the first 4 chapters of The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I decided that this would be easier for everyone, including myself, since people usually ask me what happened in the writings, what happened in the reading assignment that we were given for homework anyway. So now you can just click play. Easier for me, easier for you, and you can pull out a few quotes that I'm going to use in here. I'm gonna kind of try to predict what Masudia and the other English teachers would probably want you to know first, since probably it's going to be mostly discussion in class. So the first thing you want to know is characterization, important background facts about the character, and foreshadowing. First of all, the main character's name is Holden Caulfield, and if you didn't know that, you're probably screwed for the rest of the book. Holden, the first thing you realize about Holden is his voice, which is going to be very important, and I know Mrs. Sudi is going to ask about this, the voice of the book. The voice of the book is very cynical, bitter, jaded, but also laced with nostalgic longing. I'll give you a few examples of that. One thing he's talking about, he says, on the very first page, in the first place, that stuff bores me, and in the second, my parents would have about 2 hemorrhages apiece if I told you anything personal about them. They're quite touchy about anything like that, especially my father. So, foreshadowing, as far as foreshadowing is concerned, very early on in the book, they hint that, well, J.D. Salinger hints that something happened that kind of like landed Holden in a mental institution. Do I know this for sure? No, because I haven't read the ending of the book. This is foreshadowing that is agreed upon also on SparkNotes, so if you want to check that out, go for it. It says, I'll just tell you about this madman stuff that happened to me around last Christmas, just before I got pretty run down and had to come out here and take it easy. Out here, a resting place, probably a hospital, probably lost his mind. More about his family. The only thing you really learn about his family within the first 4 chapters is his parents. They're nice people. And his brother, who is a writer in Hollywood. He admires his brother, but at the same time feels like he's prostituting out his talent to the screen. This might have something to do with Holden's personal, hate towards theater, movies. He doesn't like movies. If there's one thing I hate, it's the movies. Don't even mention them to me, he says. It starts off and he's sitting on a hill looking down at a game that's happening at a football game. It's like a rivalry game between Pensy Prep and Saxon Hall. You see he's watching it, and one thing that you kind of get out of this is part of that nostalgic longing that I mentioned about the voice. He says something about trying to say goodbye because he's been expelled, not invited back after Christmas break. So he talks a little about the headmaster's daughter, about how he likes her, but not as in a sexual way. This kid has sex on the mind 40% of the time. Very sarcastic line. I was the goddamn manager of the fencing team. Very big deal. Obviously, very sarcastic. He's standing at the top of the hill because like he said, he's the manager of the fencing team, but he left their equipment on a subway. He left the equipment on a subway, which kind of canceled the whole game. They didn't make it to their meet because he screwed up. So he kind of really doesn't care, honestly, because he's already expelled. He doesn't give a damn anymore. By the way, the word goddamn is used 237 times in this book. Yeah, okay. If that doesn't signal anything about deep-seated anger problems, I don't know what does. So, then you go on to chapter 2. He went to his favorite history teacher's house. If you've read Tuesdays with Maury, the mentor mentality of that book is kind of like what Holden and his teacher feel. Okay, so his teacher lectures him about failing everything. He fails everything except English, and that's why part of the reason why he's getting expelled. the teacher is very honest with him and says, you didn't know a thing in my class. You didn't know anything, and that's why I failed you, so tough luck. What is weird about Holden is that later on he says that he is the most terrific liar you'll ever meet, yet he holds this certain personal honesty. He says on page 9, after exclaiming the word boy twice in a row, he says, I also say boy quite a lot, partly because I have a lousy vocabulary and partly because I act quite young for my age sometimes. I was 16 then and I'm 17 now, and sometimes I act like I'm about 13. He's very honest with himself, what makes his voice so conversational and so honest, which, another part, voice, very important. So, this teacher says, his parents are nice, and and Holden says that he believes that's a phony word. Okay, big word used in this book. Phony. Used a lot. It means lacking genuinity, a fake, a counterfeit. So he uses that word a lot because everyone's a phony to him. It's kind of sick, actually, that he just thinks that everyone is just fake and out to get him, basically. So chapters 1 and 2. Chapters 1 and 2, once again, are a lot about just laying out his personality, his cynicism, his sarcasm, and also like setting up the fact that he's not academically smart, but you're inside this kid's head and he actually like observes things a lot. I think it has something to do with the fact that he's ADHD to the max, and that's why I'm trying to get through this, but he thinks about so much. It's kind of crazy. But moving on to chapters 2 through 4. And 3 through 4. I'm tired. 3 through 4. Chapter 3 starts off with the words, I'm the most terrific liar you ever saw in your life. It's awful. Like I said, he's a liar to people, but he's honest with himself, which is a good thing, and also a weird thing. Like I said, this character is honest to God ADHD because his mind is everywhere. He talks about books, and he says, I'm quite illiterate, but I read a lot. Yeah, that's an interesting line, I think, because if you're illiterate, why would you bother? And he passed English, so I think he expects less of himself. Okay, so this kid, he bought a hunting hat in New York City, and he's wearing it in his room while reading. I just thought that was weird. He's a weird kid. So he's wearing his hat and reading his book, and this kid Ackley comes in. Ackley is not good hygiene. He has bad hygiene. Character who's fat and he's not good looking, and he comes in and he's nosy. Holden holds a lot of annoyance for this character, but he comes in and he just starts automatically asking him questions and touching his stuff, and Holden's having a hard time concentrating. So on the page 21, you find that he says goddamn 3 times or 4 times. Count. I think that's funny. And going on from chapter 21 into 20, Holden has this episode. Holden is teasing Ackley, but in a weird way. He's covering his face with his hat, and he's calling him mother darling and pretending that he's blind. So that's the first sign that this kid seriously has something up in his head. Also later on on page 21, he says, Ackley says that it's a hunting hat that he's wearing, and Holden's response is, like hell it is. This is a people shooting hat. I shoot people in this hat. Come on, this kid. Clue number 2 that this kid has something wrong with him. So then Stradlater comes in, and Stradlater can't stand Ackley. Ackley immediately leaves, and Stradlater starts getting ready for a date. A date with a girl that Holden knows. Her name is Jane, but he calls her Jean. And in the bathroom, as Stradlater is shaving, Stradlater asks Holden to write a paper for him. And Holden says, I'm the one flunking out of this goddamn place, and you're asking me to write a goddamn composition. Goddamn, 2 more times. It's ironic. He says it's ironical. That Stradlater is a very attractive guy, but he doesn't keep his toiletries very clean. He's actually a secret slob, as he says. That's a direct quote. He calls him a secret slob. And so that's kind of gross. Stradlater is one of the few sexually active kids at school. He's very popular, he's an attractive guy, but he's a slob, secretly. Holden asks, where are you going on your date? You know yet? And Stradlater says, I don't know. New York, if we have time. She only signed out for 9:30, for Christ's sake. And Holden says, in his mind at first, I didn't like the way you said it, so I said, the reason she did that, she probably just didn't know what a handsome, charming bastard you are. If she'd known, she probably would have signed out for 9:30 in the morning. And goddamn right, Stradlater said. So, Holden refers to Stradlater as a sexy bastard. I honestly think this kid is closeted. Just saying. That totally explains the anger and the calling his roommate a sexy bastard and knowing he's handsome and stuff. That's just a personal opinion. Don't say that in class because it's positive, it's wrong. So, chapters 2 through 4 are all about his interaction, his social abilities. Whether or not he has good social abilities or bad social abilities might be a question that's asked in class. So that's chapters 1 through 4. Have fun. That's all I gotta say. I don't know about this book so far. It seems kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of feel like I'm gonna lose my mind from reading it. Oh, and for alternate questions and information, you can go to SparkNotes. Because honestly, I'm just like everybody, I'd rather cheat than fail. Too, it has awesome resources on there that you can read about, like people that wrote about Holden Caulfield and stuff. And yeah, Google is my best friend. So, peace.